March 11th, 2023. It is the 12-year anniversary of the 2011 earthquake and tsunami. A 9.0 earthquake struck off the coast of Japan. And created a tsunami that will forever change these people's lives. For those souls that we lost during this incident, and the souls whose lives were touched and changed thereafter, let us take a moment of silence. Thank you for that moment of silence. It's not just the people that were affected by the tsunami and the earthquake, those that died and those that were displaced and their lives changed forever, but it's the massive amount of contamination that occurred from this site after the explosion and meltdowns occurred. What you see is a before and after. This is before below, and the top is just after Unit 3 and 4 had their explosions. You see number one, Unit 1 here. It just blew off the top when it had its explosion. Unit 2, they opened this panel so the same thing wouldn't happen that Unit 1 did, but there was an explosion underneath the reactor that most don't know about. Unit 3's obvious explosion that originated in the reactor itself, and number 4's explosion was because Unit 3 and 4 shares this exhaust pipe. And Unit 4 was being refueled, so all the fuel was in the fuel pools. Unit 3 used MOX fuel, which is a plutonium-uranium mixed fuel. And what I'm about to show you will show you where that contamination ended up. It's important to note that Dr. Marco Kaltofen found a hot particle 460 kilometers from this site inside someone's home and in a vacuum cleaner bag. 460 kilometers. It had 40 pecobecquerels of activity and made up of 80% fission fragments. People were not evacuated far enough from this site. And any thyroid study we will see is only showcasing where the contamination went and where other things were ingested. These radionuclides do not travel alone. Iodine-131 does not travel alone. We are talking about radiocolloids, groups. Okay. There is no pill for cesium. There is no tablet for strontium. They can't give you nothing for plutonium ingestion. Iodine only masks the people that were affected and will give years to go by before cancer sets in. That's all iodine tablets are good for, just so you guys know that. All right, let's get to some of these photos. And I'm going to make a couple videos here. So this will be one of many. So we can kind of go through these pictures and detail them as best we can for the future. You won't find these pictures like this anywhere else. You won't find them. I know because I've looked. You have some people with a few photos of the black bags, but you don't have anyone on the internet that pretty much screenshotted the whole entire area from south of Diani down to the electric plant or the hydroelectric plant down there, all the way up to, I think, south of Minnesota, which is south of Sendai. So that entire coastline is what we're going to look at. And we'll start with a broad image of the area we're going to be looking at. Okay, guys? So strap in. We got a lot to get to. And this is my way of remembering the people of Japan that went through that disaster and the ones that are still today going through this disaster. This is dedicated to them. So this is the area we are going to be covering today. This is the east coast of Japan. Down here to the south, if you go southwest, Tokyo will be down here. And up top, up here will be Sendai. Give you an idea. Let's see. Okay. So this is Fukushima, Daiichi. This is Fukushima Daini, the sister plant to Daiichi, which has 4 reactors. And then down south here is the hydroelectric plant. And we'll be covering pretty much from this area all the way up through here and into this area. I do have some from this area up to this bay up here, but it does seem like it's mainly just regular crop fields. They've done a lot of construction along this edge, but most of the contamination is south of Minnesota and focus between north of Naimi and south of Tomoika. So the vast majority of your contamination is in this sphere, the inverse square law, but it does not apply to this sphere because you cannot make an exclusion zone based on the inverse square law from this site because of the water cycle. It moves it around the planet. Here's a little bit closer image. Have the hydroelectric. And this is Fukushima Daini, the sister plant. And right here is where the pits are that we will be showing. This is area where the pit will be located. I'm going to back out of here and go up to the top. We got a lot of photos to get to. And they're not in any set order as far as location wise. They are just random, and I'll try to do my best to tell you where they're at. Some of them I won't know, but I tried to get locations of roads and names of things, if you notice. What you see here, these are bags. These are piles of black bags. There's over 9 million of them, and each one can hold 1 ton of material. Kind of get down in here and show you a little bit closer. These are just piles, and then they topped them with like a sheet of something, some sort of rubber or canvas or something. Notice a lot of this is by rivers. You'll see a lot of places where it will flow, this contamination. This must be Daini, Fukushima Daini. 1, 2, 3, 4 units, and you'll see the massive amount of contamination. A lot of it occurred through here, and they did a lot of digging up the ground all the way through here. These white buildings we will cover, and I will tell you they were no longer there. I've made videos to show they are no longer there if you look at today's photos. You'll find operations like this all over this place. Trucks, mounds, things that are being separated and put into piles. Now this is that pit that is just southwest of Fukushima Daini. And in here you will see the black bags. These are 1 ton black bags. Now you can see the separate bags in here. And they line this pit with a white liner of some sort. This is the whole pit. And you notice these wells down here. That one looks to me to be full of water. This one looks to be dry. Got a facility here. And if you look today, you can see how far they've filled this up. I would imagine, I think it's about roughly into this area that it's been filled up with black bags. They filled this all into with black bags. So go look at this site. Here's trucks coming into this bigger sand pit. They're getting loaded. And they're going right back out. There's a lot of sand in here. It's a larger view. This is where the trucks were coming into. And if you look today, that's different. They no longer come down this area. And this pit is much bigger. Here's the pits side by side. That's the one they're putting the bags in. This is like a little bowl in this terrain. And this is like a mountain that they're digging out. And I think they're trying to create the same type of bowl to put more bags in. Wider view. landmarks. So this is Diani, and that's where those pits are located, and that's where the bags are going. There's also other pits all along this coastline, and if you look in these tree areas, you'll find them. And they stick out like this. You'll see like a sandy spot in the green. Sticks out like a sore thumb, if you know what you're looking for. I believe this bay or this part of the ocean is right outside the hydroelectric plant. I just found it curious. You can see all this stuff on the surface, the different colors. I'm not sure if that's what that is, warmer water, contamination. I'm not sure. More piles of bags. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, look how many bags there are. We're going to get into the true scope of this. I imagine some of these facilities are no longer here. No landmarks on this one. Oh, 391. That's the road. It's a little broader look at it here. These are all bags. Right next to the Pacific Ocean right here. It's not very far between here and here. Yeah, so this is the south side of that hydroelectric plant. And they had bags. That's where this is at. Had bags piled up there that are probably no longer there, and they moved them into that pit. But I'm going to show you sections where today these bags are still sitting. Okay. This is an operation north of Fukushima where they were separating things. You can see the little trucks, all these bag piles, different, probably different radioactivity strengths, all this different stuff that they've accumulated. Wood, garbage, it's all contaminated. So they had to put all this type of stuff. If it was contaminated, they had to put it in a bag. These operations are everywhere. I'm telling you, scattered everywhere. The sheer scope of this is mind boggling. The amount of equipment that they had to use and burn fossil fuels, the amount of people that they had to use, all this contamination. These people were only allowed so many hours of work based on their dosimeter, based on their dose that they were receiving externally. Same operation, 391. This is the rough estimate where it's at. 254 and 391. That's where the black bags were. Black bags, bags, all sorts of buildings. Looks like they were laying the material out, and then probably detecting those small, thin layers, and then scooping it back up. If they found contamination, they put it in a bag, and then if not, then they'd scoop it back up and probably put it in a pile to be trucked out. Over and over and over again. I can't imagine that. Trying to spread this stuff out, detect it, and then separate it. You can totally see that's what they're doing here. Scoop it into a pile if it's good, or if not, they'll load it up into a bag. All these people and all this equipment had to be contaminated. The people had to wear protection all the time. They were working. It's unbelievable the amount of ground that they had to dig up. And you'll see it. A bunch of cars that were crushed. But nowhere else would this occur if a tsunami and earthquake happened. They wouldn't have to go through the material like this and separate it. Dirt would be dirt. Cars would be cars. But not dirt. Certain dirt had to be separated. It just would not happen unless a nuclear meltdown occurred. Metals, some sort. They're separating wood, soils, all types of material, tires, probably all sorts of things. These are the landmarks for that area. Sections of wood. Which pile is contaminated? This one or this one? This is obviously sorting. Which one is contaminated? Either way, it's a lot of contamination. That to me is all contaminated material since it's surrounded by black bags. I told you guys, you're not going to find it like this anywhere else. Nobody's going to show you this operation here and how they're doing it. Mounds and mounds and mounds of material, high enough for trucks to drive up on. Filling it with bags or trucking it away. You're talking maybe a square mile, maybe here in this little bitty spot. Maybe, if that. Couple, couple city blocks, maybe. Yeah, definitely not miles, but a couple city blocks for sure. There's your landmarks for this area. And I think we're going to stop here. I think we're going to, I'll start with this picture on the next one. And we'll get down here and look at this. That's that operation. There's your landmarks. And kind of get an understanding of where this was and what it looks like today. I Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the second one. All right, guys. Thanks. Bye.